Welcome back to Growing with the Groenwalds. We have not been growing in really visible, tangible, exciting ways the last couple of years. I have recorded a lot and everything ends up on the cutting floor because the last couple of years have been not what I hoped for. We, I think, have a good plan moving forward, one that will provide us stability and be inspiring and helpful and hopefully entertaining in the process. So I'm just doing it. We're just recording. And I'm determining to put less on the cutting room floor and share everything with you. So the last I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to recap the whole last couple of years, but so we're in February 2023 right now. In August 2022, Henry had his third open heart surgery, the Fontan, and it went pretty well. He had a few issues with having fluid in his lungs and some issues with chest tubes. We had to go back in the operating room a few times for chest tubes, but we kind of assumed that would be the case because he had similar complications with his Glenn. But he's home now, he's thriving, he's gaining weight, he's almost never blue now, which is really weird. It's just if he gets cold. He has so much energy and it's so exciting to see him growing and thriving and just doing really well. When we came home, I crashed. I had 2 days where I was unpacking and okay, let's do all the things that I've been wanting to do the entire month that we were at the hospital. And then I spent a day in bed and I was like, it's okay. I just need a day to catch up. It'll be fine. That one day in bed turned into September, October, November, December, January, into February, and I'm still spending most of my days in bed. And my good days, or my bad days in October, November are now what I would consider my good days, where I get some journaling done. I'm able to do things like this. This would be a bad day in October, November. Today, this is one of the best days I've had in a week, that I have a little bit of energy. I don't have a headache. I'm having some sweats and some kind of feverish symptoms and some weird things happening, but I can push through to record this for a little bit. They've done a bunch of testing. They don't really know what's going on with me. We know a lot of what's not going on with me, but we still don't have answers, and that's really frustrating. So we're just kind of pushing through and doing our best. I struggle with chronic health stuff, feeling like it's out of my control. I can't do anything to make it better. Can't do anything to make it worse. And about 10 years ago, I kind of stumbled into a doctor who taught me that food can really make a difference in how I feel. And so I'm applying those lessons that I learned now, but altering my diet more significantly from what she had suggested then. And I'm currently doing basically a vegan-based diet, but it's also more strict than that because there's some other plants that I'm supposed to avoid right now. I did this for about 2 weeks in January, and I did find that I was slowly starting to have some improvements. Took a little bit of break for Elle's birthday because I wanted to indulge in cake and eat pizza that she demanded for her birthday. So I wanted to enjoy that and not feel like I was going to have to stress about trying to figure out accommodations or not enjoy in the moment, because she really likes to, like, she's 2. So when she has something that she's really enjoying, she wants to like feed it to you. And I didn't want her to feel like mommy was saying like, I don't love you, or I don't want to take part in what's giving you joy. So I was just like, we're just going to knock out the drama and I'll just indulge, take part, and then get back on. And so today is day 2 of back on my vegan diet. And, yesterday was definitely having some like, detoxing symptoms going on. I'm doing a little better today. I just have a headache, which I usually have at the beginning of any kind of clean eating diet. So I kind of expected that as well. But I think because there's been a lot of an emotional component to this too. Like I'm not tolerating stress like at all. I have a really hard time being around the kids because they're screaming or climbing on me, or all of the things that toddlers do overstimulate me a lot, and then I break out in hives and my fevers get really bad, and I start like getting sweaty and my heart rate does weird things, and it get like the physical symptoms I experience with like small amounts of stress is really scary. So I do my best to do calm activities with them. I color with Henry sometimes. Will come and play on her tablet with me. And I can do like calm, quiet activities in short bursts. So we've been doing that. But this is not what I pictured post-Fontan life to look like. And as I talked to other parents, I found I'm not alone in this. Obviously, my health stuff is a little bit more unique, but to have some kind of crash with any kind of health issue, and also emotionally after the Fontan is normal, because for 4 years I have been carrying the weight and the stress of like, my kid might die tomorrow. And while I know he's not cured, I know there's still risk of complications. I know we still have cardiology appointments. I know we still have cath procedures in our future. We likely won't have any more open heart procedures. And I can tell just by my daily interactions with him, he's more stable. He's not as fragile as he was. And so there's this huge burden of a backpack of boulders that I've been carrying for the last 4 years kind of just fell off my shoulders. And I was able to like look internally for the first time in 4 years. And I realized like, oh, I'm really not doing well. And I guess maybe to a degree that's a little unfair, because after the Glen, I had a similar experience, but I was able to just get healthy. I lost 75 pounds. I was like doing great workouts and things. I was doing fantastic health-wise. And then we got COVID. I got diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos. And then I got pregnant all within like a couple of months. And then since then, my health has not been ideal. I've been kind of struggling. But since we got home from the Fontan, I've been acutely struggling so much more. So that's kind of where we've been a little bit. I know I left the last video off on a cliffhanger about the cafe. We did get the cafe. And I'm still pretty traumatized by what happened with it. At some point, I will do a video that elaborates on it, but I'm just not ready to today. I need a little bit more therapy on that one, I guess. So where we're going now. So I've seen enough things in mainstream and not so mainstream media predicting food shortage issues. We're seeing it already with the eggs. We've seen it with the meat. I'm recording. Sorry. You're putting that in the view of the recording.
Sorry.
Can you take the dogs out because I'm recording?
Benji, side, out. Benji, side. Benji.
Thank you. Sorry, I got interrupted there. So we've seen enough about food shortages coming that I mean, honestly, our family struggles with food insecurity, whether there's food shortages at the grocery store or not, because of our financial situation at this point. Like, we don't have any stable sources of income. We're literally living on prayer. And so I wanted to start a garden this year anyways, but one of the things that I think so I did a garden 2 years ago, and I grew food, which was super exciting, but we hardly ate any of it because they didn't grow things we eat. Now, in reflecting on that over the last several months of like how to grow food we eat, our family eats way too much processed food. And while it might be cleaner processed food, it might be gluten-free or free of dyes and chemicals, we're actually not eating enough from the produce section, largely because that food goes bad faster. And so we've avoided buying that food. So I realized our first shift before growing our own food needed to be that we would eat food that's growable. And so now with the diet that I'm doing now, that's like all I'm eating is plants, that's a lot easier. I mean, sure, we're eating a ton of bananas, and you can't grow bananas in North Dakota. As much as you try, they just won't grow. So bananas are cheap though, so that's an easy, as long as those are still able to be imported, we're fine. But there's a ton of foods that we can be growing. We can be growing watermelon and tomatoes and zucchini and potatoes and lettuce and radishes. And so these foods that I know I can grow, we're working on buying more from the store until my garden gets going, so that we're finding ways to incorporate these foods into our diet. So that's step one. And that's a step that I've been watching, like all the YouTube grow your own garden videos. They'll say like grow what you eat, but if you're eating like if you're like our family and you're mostly eating like things from the other parts of the store, even meats, unless you have some acreage to be able to do meat, like that's not going to be very helpful. So the other thing I've looked at in preparing my garden is in our local area, what foods are people looking to buy from others. So the last several years, I've seen a lot of posts about people looking for pickling cucumbers. I don't know that I want to pickle cucumbers, but I know a lot of people in our area like to do that and either don't grow them and plan to buy from other people, or they had a problem with their garden or whatever and are looking for pickling cucumbers. So by growing those, I know that that's something that we can do to make a little bit of money. And I'm also learning seed saving so that next year, hopefully, I won't have to spend any money on seeds or very little money on seeds. And even doing some of the, like, when we buy bell peppers, like using those seeds to start our garden this year. Celery, I can't find celery seeds. We go through a ton of celery though, so I'm doing the hack of like taking the bottom and planting it and growing it up. I've done it before and it just bolted really quickly, so it wasn't really usable. But even if that's the case, then I've got celery seed that I can use for next year. So I'm incorporating these little things to help our family be a little bit more self-sufficient. Additionally, we are working on some other kind of side streams of income. And we have a lot of the components in place for those. We'll do some videos on those coming up. But everything is really moving at a snail's pace because that's the amount of energy I have. I I get about an hour or two of like very low energy activities that I can do for a day, and then I'm done. So after this, we have to run to the city and get some groceries, and I'm gonna have to take a break before that because just recording this, I'm feeling pretty exhausted, and my heart rate's at 110 sitting here talking to you. So yeah, I'm needing a little bit of a break. But this is kind of where our life is right now, and where the kids are at, where our family's at. And I'm going to be working hard to try and put a video out a week just to give you guys a sense of where we're going, what's going on, where we're struggling, and hopefully as we begin to gain some traction and I start to feel a little bit better, we figure out what's wrong with me. Through that process, some of these other components will fall into place and we really will start growing, and you can grow with the growing walls like we intended 2 years ago. The home renovation is pretty much where we left you at. I haven't really done any projects in the last 2 years. I feel like when we look back, it's going to be like the dark 2 years where like we don't really remember what happened because it's been a really tough 2 years. But we're working to climb out of this pit that we've been in, and we're looking forward to what's ahead, and we're excited to invite you to join us. So come along.